And welcome everyone. Happy New Year. We are in 2022 and this is round one of the Walter Shipman Memorial Tuesday Night Marathon live at the Mechanics Institute. I'm Abel Talamontes, chess director here, and standing with me is FIDE Master Paul Whitehead, who will be seating shortly here, and also three-time U.S. champion Grandmaster Nick DeFermian. And you can see from the video inside, although I'm going to have to ping that camera or something because I think it's frozen, so we will work on that. But
if we have a frozen one, it should be the one with Caruana playing.
So let's see. Like, is there a way to fix that?
To redo
Cancel. There we go. There we go.
Yeah.
There it is. There we go. Live
right.
Live TV is back. So we have
the DGT.
Yeah, it's all set. Yeah, so we have 50 players total. It's sold out crowd. We did that to limit the number of persons, and we're also doing for January anyway vaccination requirement for the institute. So we filled it to capacity as we would expect, and we got nice balanced sections between the 1800 plus and the under 1800. So we'll get into that shortly. But how's it going, Nick?
Oh, it's good. I heard some people were trading Warriors tickets for seats in the Tuesday Night Marathon. No one was taking.
And speaking of which, I just heard Clay Thompson's supposed to play Sunday, I think, against the Cavaliers of all teams. So looking forward to that. But even that ticket doesn't compare to a TNM ticket. I mean, that's like getting a Willy Wonka golden ticket if you can get yourself into the TNM. So I'm gonna let you two guys start covering the games and go from there, and I'm sure Judith and I will be back shooting the breeze with you guys.
Should I get another computer?
Yeah, I'll bring it over.
If you don't mind. All right.
No,
Thanks,
I
Abel.
actually don't even know if we're live because I don't have the computer on.
Oh. Hi, Nick.
Hi, Paul.
Let's see.
Hello. Let me transition over to the chessboards. All right, let me orient myself.
Yeah. You're good.
Okay, we've got we're covering the top 6 boards. Is that right?
Top 5 and then the top board and the under.
Oh, cool.
So, there you go.
Okay, great. Thanks. Yeah. So, Walter Shipman. Did you know Walter Shipman?
Oh, yes, definitely. Walter Shipman he was in New York and he was here. He was very helpful, actually, with some contacts with our school program. And of course, his daughter, Judy Shipman, had played so much at the club, too.
Right. Well, this is the first round. I've only met Walter once, I think. I played in the same tournament with him back in the late 90s. And both of us were involved in a massive tie for second place behind, gosh,
Wow.
I can't remember. It was in the Caps, I think, or something like that. The Caps Memorial. Anyway, this is our top board. Elliot Winslow, International Master Elliot Winslow. Hi, everybody. You want to take a look at and see how we got here, Nick?
Yes. Now, I have to warn you and our viewers, my old computer died, and Sophie took the other computer off to Holland. So I may be having some connection problems.
Well, that's okay. You know, we're getting old, Nick. We have connection problems.
afraid.
Okay, so this is well, it's a Sicilian defense with bishop b5 check. And it looks like there's a lag.
Okay.
There is some kind of lag going on here, or something.
Yeah, I was a Limo Sicilian, and well, okay, it's good choice against Winslow because you don't want to play against that Night Orc unless you're really well prepared.
And White's just playing a sort of a straightforward game here.
Well, you used to play like this, didn't you, Paul?
Yeah, I've tried different things with the white side of the Rossalimo, different ideas. I like the idea of just, like you said, avoiding the Nahdorf and avoiding those players that were, knew a lot of book. D5, I like that. I kind of like that move. Black sort of, it changes the structure of the game. And white takes, that's an interesting idea. But I think that d5 is an outstanding, very good move.
Well, Winslow has been a terror in these Tuesday night marathons, and to meet him in the first round is just, you're playing the man when that happens.
And Mr. Dutter's rating is 1900.
Well, he's good enough to make a real fight of this. So he's the underdog, but not overwhelmingly an underdog.
All very standard stuff here. Oops, is that a mistake? Certainly looks like it. Or else it's a clever move to provoke black to playing knight takes d4. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, my apologies. It's still the connection problems. Do you have the TGT straight up there, or are you on the Twitch channel?
I'm kind of on both. What do you like, Nick?
Okay.
What's your poison?
Well, is it also on Follow Chess?
I think it probably would be.
Yeah. But,
Anyway, if black plays knight takes d4, white will probably play knight takes d4, queen d4, and then bishop b2. And then if queen moves anywhere, bishop takes g7. However, I still like black after rook g8. Say bishop b2, queen goes to maybe f4. Bishop takes g7, rook g8. So it's kind of double-edged.
oh. Now, okay, I will switch to Follow Chess because that works on my computer. So
Okay, excellent.
I'm not. Yeah, so I switch off. But yes, so I have the position. White's played pawn to c4, attacking the queen.
Yes.
Do I have the right position?
Yes.
Oh, good. All right. So yeah, but this
No, knight d4 is double-edged, but I think what?
what's knight d4? You would have to take the knight on d4, trade and bishop to b2, and that g7 pawn is going.
Right,
So,
and I was thinking black still might be okay there. Say queen f4 and rook g8, play against the weak pawns.
Yeah. That's true. Probably still okay. But yeah, it's reasonable for white. I think Dada has done a good job of getting a nice sort of action game out of theory. So
All
for
right.
something like Queen 8-5, I suppose you play D5 right away anyway, sacrifice a pawn and open lines.
There you go. I like that. That's a classic. Takes, queen d5, and then what, bishop a3 or something like that. Although black could
Yeah.
well, probably an equal game. Maybe black castle, and if bishop e7, rook e8.
Yeah, it's a lot of
A lot of
lot of
huffing and
ideas.
puffing, and no blowing the house down.
yeah. But also, if queen to h5, maybe bishop a3 first, hoping for castles pawn to d5, winning some material. But
I could still take on d5, maybe.
take on d5, bishop e7, rook e8, and no way out of that pin. Yeah, that's a pretty good pin on the e file.
I'm just trying to survive.
Well, I think you're doing more than that. You might be stealing a pawn. That's pretty good.
See, it's this game is the parable of the three little pigs. The next one is going to be the next one will be the three bears.
Bears. Now, the three little pigs that you don't worry about the huffing and puffing, is that the
That's
moral?
Yeah. Well, no, you build the moral is you build your house out of stone, Nick, and you don't build it out of sticks or straw.
Now, Paul, this could be an excellent test,
Right.
to
And then the
classic fables.
and then the three bears is that you want to eat your porridge when it's just right, and not when it's too hot or when it's too cold.
Okay.
So I think the fairy tales have a lot to teach us about chess, actually.
That would be a great book, especially for kids. And I don't think anybody's thought of it.
What's going on? This is our board two. Christophe Bambou versus Renan Lardent. And Christophe is our number 2 rated player at 2106. And he lost recently in the last round of the last TNM to none other than Elliot Winslow.
Well, but he got himself in position to play for the last round and play for the.
Oh, this is a good.
So.
Christophe is a good player. He's definitely, but Elliot is the barrier that everybody must cross, and very few are able to do so.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go back to the opening and blitz through it. If you don't mind.
I like what Ronan Lardent has played. That knight on h5 is actually pretty good, guarding things and eyeing the f4.
Are you following this? Are you following
the
the opening here? Because I've gone back to the opening.
It's I don't see that yet.
It's
It may not show that on follow chess.
Let's just go then. Let's just go to the position then. And
yes, you'll have to make the opening comments.
Hey, Aaron, great to see you. Happy New Year. Where are you? So a nice position for black, maybe. With
Yes.
the double
I
pawns to
think-
work against, and
But Christoph, he has a knight check at least. Maybe he can dredge up something with that activity.
mm-hmm. Okay. Let's move on to board 3, and you know who's playing on board 3? Aaron's in New York. Forever, right?
You mean Michael Walder,
Yes, Mike Walter.
who really used to be a 2300 player? I don't know what he's doing with that rating because he's so much better than that.
Well, he hasn't played in much over the board play.
I guess that's true.
Guess
And
what opening
He's
this
playing against a
is?
Smithmore Gambit.
Yeah, and it looks like black has done very well here. What do you think?
Yeah, it's Oh, I agree. It's white doesn't have that much for pawn. Black castle tonight on e5, but just no targets there.
Okay. And on board 4, we have David Askin versus Adam Mercado.
Yes, a real classic Mechanics Institute matchup.
I'll run everybody through the opening. It's a King's Indian with the so-called bayonet attack. And white's playing a very straightforward strategy of just taking on f4 and trying to roll up the queen side. And also playing on that e6 square. A lot of moves have been played here.
It looks good for white.
Well, knight d4
Ooh, that-
might be tricky, huh? Black has to think of some queen sack here. It's the only way.
So if knight to d4 and white plays knight to e6, would you like sacrifice the exchange and just move the queen somewhere like h4? Or
I mean, I could also play knight e2 check.
oh,
But wait a minute. If
Knight
knight
e2.
d4, knight e6, queen h4, can't white just play knight takes d4? Yeah, I mean, black has to think of some tactics here to try to get his way out of this. Risky opening for black, huh?
little loose there.
It's the knight h5, knight f4 thing against the bayonet. I guess it requires being incredibly booked up.
Yeah, white's got these very active pieces. Okay, black has a bishop pair. And what's the line? Like knight to e4, knight to e6. You go bishop to e2.
That's a crazy move.
Very complicated.
What's the weather like in New York? I have friends and loved ones in Virginia, and they got slammed by the snowstorm. I mean, incredible.
So much snow in Virginia.
There were people trapped on an interstate for more than 24 hours in their car, including former state senator Tim Kaine.
Wow. Being almost vice president doesn't help you in a snowstorm. Doesn't help you in the Tuesday night marathon either.
All right, let's go look at Jaden Zhu versus Lucas Lesnowski on board 5. This is some
Hey,
kind
kind of a slog. And finally, after a long time, Black takes the pawn on c4.
Uh-huh. What's the
Oh,
point
can
of...
I ask you, is there some fairy tale like the Three Little Pigs or the Three Bears about greed delayed?
About what?
Greed delayed.
Greed
He
delayed?
could have taken that pawn early on, but he waited and waited, and well, maybe it's like the Three Bears. He waited till it was just right to take the pawn.
Yeah, and then there's stuff like Jack and Jill went up the hill to get a pail of water. I'm not sure that one works right here.
I don't know if that improves your chess game. The Three Little Pigs, yes, of course. That's
How about Little Red Riding Hood?
Oh, there must be something there.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I mean, to beware the big bad wolf, that's
Right. My, what big teeth you have. The better to eat you with. To me, it looks wrong to take on. Well, maybe if Black's going to follow up with e5, I mean, Black's just trying to get some room for his pieces. Still a long way off. Maybe he can hold on to that pawn at c4 forever. Who knows? Greed is good in chess. Unless it's not good.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad he did it, though. Just makes for a more interesting game.
And this is the
And white can go pawn to e4.
Right. This is the top game, Nick, in the under 1800 section. Romeo Barreiro. White threatens pawn to c4. Will Black see it? Very modern looking opening somehow.
So maybe you can go pawn to d6, attacking that bishop.
Right, and if bishop takes bishop, queen takes bishop, attacking the rook at a1.
Yeah. Maybe that solves your problem.
And then maybe white could play bishop takes d5 and knight c3.
You could.
With a kind of an odd looking knight versus bishop position.
Yeah. Maybe roughly equal.
Interesting. Okay, let's move back up to board 1 where international master Elliot Winslow has taken the pawn on d4. And then after knight takes d4, queen d4, white did play bishop b2 instead of rook b1, offering the pawn at g7. Well, he had to give it away. And black is, you know, structurally a little better after bishop g7, rook g8. Even though his king might not find it so easy. Maybe white should have played rook b1 instead of bishop to b2.
Well, this should be about even. I mean, you've broken up the black pawns into 3 islands after bishop b7, and
Yeah.
the question is where exactly that black king will go.
Yes. An interesting position here with both players having plenty of time left to figure it out. Board 2. Wow. Black straightened out white's pawn structure.
Yes. How did Christoph do that? That's not.
Can you see when I go back, Nick?
Before?
Can you see?
Let me check.
White played bishop c5, and black decided that he didn't want to have to face knight g6 check, and just took it off. How's the marshal?
Yeah, kind of a.
Aaron Craig is in the chat.
You know, Walter Shipman, I think, also used to play at the Marshall and the Manhattan Chess Club before he moved out to California.
And now there is no Manhattan Chess Club.
No.
We're underrated. How about that? I like to hear that. Well, they've got some strong players at the Marshall, though, right? Of course, they have their IMs playing and GMs, right? And of course, you have to show proof of vaccination to play at the Marshall, right? I think.
Marshall, okay. So, yeah. Everybody's tightened the rules a bit. Comic-Con.
Actually, Marshall had that in place from the get-go when they reopened. So I don't know if you can see this, Nick, but white played bishop c5, and black did not want to allow knight d6 check, so took the knight off. And in chess, you can take the knight off, but you really can't take the knight off. You know, if you want to play chess, you can't take the knight off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that was a little wimpy to.
Yeah, I agree. I think. I mean, now certainly it's less. It's interesting. We're getting the same kind of knight versus bishop struggle with queens off here that we have in the Winslow game. In other words, knight versus bishop with queens on, and this position with the queens off.
Yes. Well.
All right, let's
okay,
move.
Now with the queens off, it's roughly equal now that the white pawns are straightened out.
And let's move to this game where Michael Walter, I don't think he's really feeling the heat here from this. In fact, g4 is almost, I mean, I guess white can't really do anything. This is looking good for black.
When you develop everything in the Smith-Morra, but then you see, well, what do I do? And then you decide to go G4 because that's an action move, but
Black is a
clearly
pawn
just a pawn
ahead.
down.
Yeah. And black, after long thought, played bishop to e5. So he's like, okay, take my rook. I'd rather keep my bishop. And I have to agree with that. Like if knight e6, queen h4, take the rook, I'll take back. I like that move a lot.
Okay, that's...
Yeah.
That's an Adam Mercado move.
Yes, it is.
That's his kind of style. Loves the action. And you'll have all those black pieces around the king side. You're not sure what's going to happen, but you know, two bishops, knight, pawn, rook, queen. There's something could happen.
Nick doesn't like the Smith-Morra. I think he has a respect for it. He talks about playing it, but
well, it's not a bad opening, but you give up any chance of an edge for white. You give black a chance an edge because you give her or him a pawn. So, but okay, there's people who like the Smith-Morra and they want to play an action game, and I have to admire that.
And finally, down to board 5, white is going into the think tank. Sometimes this means that the board is not registering, but we don't know that at this point. Here's board.
Sometimes the players just sit and think.
I know, which is kind of outrageous. I mean, and that seems to be what's going on here too. Back up to board.
In the old days, there were a lot of time pressure addicts that they just can think and think. But now more people are a little more practical, so there aren't as many addicts.
So Nick, this is Black's idea, and this is a good idea, I think, right? That he's playing rook c8, giving white no time to sort of get comfortable by castling queenside or something. Bishop a7,
Yeah, a
rook c2.
nice move.
I didn't see that move.
Nice move. This.
It's funny the knight on h5
and
is
that
actually.
was his idea after.
That's why he took on e4.
Yeah. And fine idea, and black looks better.
Yeah.
Looks like you have to take the pawn on h7. Rook takes the pawn on c2. Maybe you go bishop d4 to guard the.
Could black go
b
e5,
pawn.
bishop c3, knight f4? Then rook g7. I guess. Knight d3 check.
It's getting sharp.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that rook could get, well, it couldn't really get trapped. But yes, it's a nice move, rook c8. You know, that's taking the initiative, not giving your opponent one move to feel comfortable.
Okay, Nick, I have a technical question for you. When using a demonstration board, do you prefer the magnetic or the slot? The kind you put in the slot or the kind you stick up with magnets? These are very important questions for
The
chess.
magnetic ones are a little easier to use.
They're easier to use, but if you get one gets stuck to the board or something, you can pull the whole board down. Or else,
Yeah.
you know, well, there are various mishaps with the magnetic boards. They can be funny.
Yeah, on the big demo boards, I guess the slots are better.
I think I've seen pictures like from the old Soviet Union with these massive demonstration boards where the pieces are being moved by something you might see on a shuffleboard or something like that. Have you ever seen that? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like
I've seen the pictures of it. Yeah,
these big sticks or something.
I
to
never
move
saw them in real life.
Yeah, amazing. Chess has gone through so many different like technological changes that are small, but they reflect the times that they're played in. I think in an interesting way.
Yes, those big, cumbersome Soviet boards reflect how the industrialized Soviet Union was back then.
What about the one thing I always liked about the Russian chess sets though were the bishops, the queens, and the kings of the black sets had little white markers on them, and the bishops, queens, and kings of the white set had little black dots on them. And I really liked that. I thought that lent a lot of class to the chess sets.
Okay.
But anyway.
There's a lot of ornate chess sets, and you can see the different cultures that do.
Oh, like running the scoreboard at Wrigley Fields. Yeah. Do they have some kind of old-fashioned scoreboard there that's still in use?
No digital scoreboard by now?
Ah, that's amazing. Huh. All right, let's go on to board 3.
I guess.
Okay, so now there's ostensibly this should be good for black. Let's see. I mean, he's still a pawn ahead. There's the possibility of using the d4 square. Black is much better. Oh, it's Fenway Park. Okay. Yeah, I'm not a sports fan, unfortunately. Maybe black could have played, after g4, could have played knight d7, and then, well, anyway. After knight e5, white takes. What do you think of this position, Nick?
Yeah, well, maybe pawn to g5 drives the knight back to e8, and at least you have a little activity for.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
not much.
A funny way, still, black's a pawn up. All right. Here is David Askin versus Adam Mercado. Bishop e5 is still on the board, and that's the end of that. Not the end, but and it looks like we might have a stuck DGT board on board 5 and on board 6. Dum da da dum. I'm not sure. I'm gonna try refreshing my page, see if that helps.
Yeah.
This is
Like
board.
the clocks are not ticking.
Here's board 1. And here's board 2. Both players or white's still in the think tank there. This is Walter's game on board 3, board 4. This game, and on board 5, Okay, white castled after d takes c4. It looks like I was right to. And black is still thinking here after bishop f3. Or else the DGT boards are on the fritz. Well, we're not sure that anything is wrong. Okay, so the DGT problems in the playoff between Duda and okay, bishop G, I don't think we have a problem. It looks like everything is working just well. Black played bishop takes e5 after a long thought, and white's retake it.
Okay.
So we're actually good with the DGT.
Yes, and the clock suddenly jumped.
Yeah, we're good with the DGT boards. You know, I mean, we're doing as well as the World Blitz.
Well.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, it's technology. It's like, it's bound. Remember, we used to see players banging the clock and the clock flying off the table, and, you know, we don't see that kind of stuff anymore, you know. Even in the most horrendous time pressure, now the players.
And the old days.
What?
And you had to have people sitting next to the boards to move the pieces.
There was no increment back in the day, you know. World Blitz Championship. That Bobby Fischer probably never played a blitz game with increment, you know, until he was,
No.
you know, way retired.
But so even then, he probably never did.
Right. So there was no increment. You know, Tall and Petrosian were all playing blitz with Bobby Fischer, and nobody, and Spassky, and nobody was playing with an increment. Now the, you know, you see these desperate time scrambles, but everybody's acting so calmly. That's because they know that all they have to do is make a move and not lose on the time, and then they'll just have more time added.
Well, that's a good thing for more, decent chess, no horrible blunders. But it was very fun to see the old way when people's flags were hanging. They had to move in the third of a second.
You know, Aaron, when you see positions like this, you have to get really concrete. You know, White's regained his pawn. He's made it difficult for Black to find a safe place for his own king. Is it possible that Black's going to get something down the G file? Maybe, but, you know, let's exactly how. White can always block it up with G3, or put the bishop on that or on G3. They're threatened. G2's threatened. So it's double-edged, like Nick said. And Black's king could be feeling drafty here as well. So.
Yeah, I like bishop to e5 to come back to g3 if you have to kind of split the board, hide the queen side.
White's going to play rook b1 and maybe or something. But this is a tough position. Yeah, Moscow, Sicilian. What do you call this variation, Nick? Bishop b5 check.
Was it third move, bishop b5 check?
Yeah. Yeah. Is it Moscow or Rossolimo? The Russians call it the Rossolimo, right? And everybody else calls it the Moscow.
Yeah. I mean, I call it a variation of the but yeah, this particular variation, I think
Now bishop h6 I do not think is the right move here. Just because knight f5 looks...
Because it can be hit by knight f5.
Yeah, knight f5 looks like such a perfect move for black. That's a funny one. That's, yeah, this is where you can go wrong in positions like this. One ill-advised move.
Just gave him a tempo.
I'm not sure black should castle or play knight f5. One or the other. Yeah, knight f5 is a perfect move here. Okay.
Yeah, so about even with black's taking a little edge. And
Christoph is, like Nick and I were kind of surprised by this move. Didn't see it. I have to admit, I thought that, you know, I was looking at the position in general terms and it seemed about equal, but now when I see rook c8 on the board, I'm seeing that white's got some problems here. The casual player, we are doing...
Well, you know, again, bishop a7, rook c2, bishop d4.
E5?
Well, maybe you can even win a pawn with rook to c4, rook to d1, and then e5 in the e-pawn.
So what's your variation? Bishop a7. Casual player.
Bishop a7,
rook c2.
yeah, and if you have to go b3, then I don't know, king f7 or castles, black pieces come into play more quickly.
And if bishop d4?
And if bishop a7, rook c2, bishop d4, you can play rook to c4, rook e1, pawn to e5, and you're going to win that e4 pawn.
Yep.
So trouble for Christoph.
Yes. And Michael Walder's opponent played g5 and queen g4. All right, well, so at least there's some possibilities now. I think Michael maybe should not have played knight e5 right away, and might have been better back here to have, after g4, to have played knight fd7, possibly. Knight e5 is a good looking.
Okay, but here we can.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know why I'm being so pessimistic. Yeah, I don't know why I'm being pessimistic. It looks like black should be okay here, if not more than okay. Knight d6.
Yeah, I mean it's.
All right, I'll play rook bishop e6 just to throw it in. Takes, queen e6, rook f7, knight d5. I'm just trying to get cheap here.
Well, okay.
I guess you can
what you look at when you play the Smith-Morra.
Exactly.
Look at all the tactics, because it's fun.
We are. How was Chess Cafe on Monday, Nick?
You know, it was fine. They missed you, so, and it was maybe the weekend, so or maybe there was 8 or 10 people.
That's
usual.
great. That's great. Was Juliana there?
Juliana was there, yes. Luki hasn't been there for a while, so Fortunately, Richard Hack showed up, gave us some philosophy before we started.
Excellent, excellent. He's playing tonight.
But yes, we have quite an action game there in David Askin against Adam Mercado. That's,
Yeah,
I love it.
Look at this. White plunges in with knight
Saying the knight on e6.
and now knight e4 to g5. What is going on here, folks? White's trying to take control of the f3 square. I think that's what this move is about. Also, he'd like to maybe take the rook and then put the other knight in on e6. Who knows?
Yeah, I like that move, just don't take the exchange. Leave your knights on good squares. They're good at hopping around in this position.
Nick, I'll be right back.
Okay, we will look.
I'll leave you with, okay, this game is proceeding slowly. Game is also proceeding somewhat slowly. Here's Elliot Winslow's game. And this is still thinking on board 2. This is Michael Walder's game. And this is the Askin. Shall I leave it here, Nick? The Askin Mercado
sure.
game.
The David Askin game?
Yeah, I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Okay, sure.
2 minutes.
Okay. Well, the first round matchups in the Tuesday night marathon, they used to be a bit more difficult, especially when it was just all one section or two sections. Now the games are competitive, even in the first round. But you do get these still some pretty significant rating differentials. Frederick Duder against Elliot Winslow, that's 500 points, and that's a lot. And there, Elliot, he jumped up with his knight to attack the bishop. But that's not what's on our Twitch channel. On our Twitch channel is David Askin against Adam Mercado, and the two white knights. It's great how they're kind of supporting each other. They're taking a lot of squares and messing things up for the black side. So, what can you do? Adam was perfectly willing to sacrifice an exchange, let that white knight on e6 take his rook on f8. Then it'd be fun. He'd have all those black pieces in play. And here he has to think whether he does something active or moves that rook on f8. But rook to f8. Well, you could play knight to f3, just hitting the queen, which if the rook on f8 goes to f6, that blocks the black queen's retreat, so you'd have to trade off your nice bishop. Kind of a dilemma there for Adam, what to play. On to f3 just doesn't quite look right. Okay, so white knight's jumping around. Look for something active for black. Pawn to h6, maybe. Yeah, why not? Well, the knight will go back to f3 in any case. That's just a nice, solid square for the white knight. If you trade bishop takes f3, white queen takes f3, perhaps then you could go knight d4, attacking the queen on f3 and the knight on e6. But somehow white is a bit better in this position. Because white king is safe. Those knights are really causing some trouble. Some possibilities on the queen side, opening the c file. That, white rook would go down. Yeah, I think objectively a little tough for the black side, but Adam he just takes a position and makes it active. And the offering of the exchange was one thing, but just interesting to see his idea here. And you can look for various piece sacrifices. Try to reload one page. And what's going on in the rest of the tournament? Paul gets back. We switch exactly to the games, but 5 top boards plus the top board under 1800 section. And there's only 25 games tonight. It's just a bit limited tonight for precaution. So we've got 6 out of those 25 games here. So Paul, shall we switch it to a different game?
Yeah, let's go down to board 5, where Jaden Zhu is playing Lucas Lichnowsky. These guys are taking this game seriously. They're taking their time over their moves.
Very slow play. Very slow, yeah. I'm not sure the clocks are right on the...
No, I think there probably are. I mean, this game is showing 2.5 hours left, and somewhat similar here. What do you think about this position?
Yeah, it's must be compensation for a pawn. There's nothing too active for the black side, but once you sacrifice a pawn, it's up to you to prove it. You know, because if you just sit there moving, eventually a pawn just becomes a complete real pawn.
Oh, you're talking about the Jaden Zhu game.
Oh, sorry. Which game were you talking
about? Oh, no, I forget that you're on a different, looking at a different thing here. Okay, this is Romeo. Now I'm looking at Romeo Barrerio. Looks better for white.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know. Or about an equal
game. Sure. I mean, you've got a pawn center there.
Yeah. Although black can start chipping away. It's black's move, though. Maybe f6. I don't know. Shall we take a look at the mighty Winslow game?
Let us see what the mighty Winslow has done in our absence. We did bring his knight to f5, and but he's probably looking for some cheapos on the G file, but I can't see any. Yeah.
They're not quite
Now, is
there.
that knight better than the bishop? Now, some people like knights, some people like bishops, and the knight on f5 is just a very nice piece. But if the bishop just goes back to f2, well, it kind of dominates the knight. It's put to the queen side from way over on the white king side.
Maybe it's time for Elliot to take it off, huh?
Yeah, I think so. I think it makes it less interesting, but take it off and maybe take the pawn on c4.
And try to survive the attack after rook c1 and rook c7 or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Elliot's gonna have his work cut out for him to win this game.
We say the same thing every week.
Yes.
But yes, I know what you mean. All right, let's go to board 2. Where white finally decided on bishop a3. Instead of
A
taking
little
on
bit
a7.
wimpy, I gotta say.
Instead of taking on a7. And isn't white just going a pawn down after rook c2?
Yes, I think so. Pawn is a pawn.
Yeah, Elliot has had a lot of rough games. And he likes it that way. He likes to make things difficult for himself and then fight back. Some players are just...
Oh, if I could win a game without so much effort or so many moves, I'd seize the day. So yes, somehow Elliot allows his opponent some good play, but he always seems to come out on top in these tournaments.
Yeah. I'm looking now at Luke with Jaja versus Michael Walder. Michael's still thinking about what to play here.
Yeah. I'm trying to consider the tactics. I think he can just do knight d6. I really don't see good tactics there. You'll excuse me just a moment while I get some tea.
Of course.
Needed to see the games in a good light.
This is board... we are looking at board 3 of the Tuesday Night Marathon tournament that was started back in 1972, and by then chess club director Raymond Conway. And now we're seeing what the umpteenth version of this tournament, the Walter Shipman Memorial, directed by Abel Telementes and Dr. Judith Starry. Abel Telementes is the United States Chess Federation's chess director, chess organizer of the year. So, steering the Mechanics Chess Club through the pandemic. And we'll jump up to board 4. This is this incredibly complicated position here. Black needs to come up with something here. Otherwise, you may end up losing exchange. Actually, probably wouldn't mind giving up the exchange. I think the problem for Black is how to continue the attack here. Is these pieces aimed over there with the king, but White's very solid. Like if pawn f3, that's the move I'm looking at. Pawn f3, but I mean just pawn. I guess knight f3. Now the queen is attacked, and if bishop f3, queen takes f3. And I don't see a good, was there discovered with knight g3? Yes, but then Black could also take the rook first at f8 and then move the queen. I think Black has some problems to solve here, clearly. I mean, h6 might be a move. And if knight to f3, the queen goes back to e7 or something. Oh, then knight e5 and d6. I'm finding it difficult for Black. And Black is trying to hold on to his c4 pawn. And Black did play f6 here. And the game looks even, if not slightly better for Black, maybe after rook f1, followed by queen b7. Very simple. Black's a little ahead in development.
How's it going?
Yeah,
All right.
that's
Hi,
about even,
Judith. How are you? You gonna come say hi?
Yeah, I'm gonna say hi.
With me is Judith, Dr. Judith Starry.
How are you guys doing?
All
Are you
right.
wearing masks or?
Sometimes I'm wearing it, sometimes I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, I think we officially have to, but yeah, I mean,
I'm fine.
not even boosted,
Queen takes,
right?
yeah, I got boosted.
Yeah, okay, let's wear.
Oh,
I
why
don't have
not?
my lipstick anyway.
Queen takes b7, and it looks like
Nice.
Black will be okay here. How are you doing? How's it going out there?
It's going smooth, quiet
Okay.
and smooth, and people are playing.
Is Abel playing back his game?
He's playing his game, although Juan just arrived, so I think he's taking a little bit of break.
Oh,
to
okay.
go with him, but
Okay.
should be good. He's still playing against Orsoltan, so
Okay.
yeah. And
So
Deandra got lucky. He was a late entry, and then he's now on the board.
yeah, I'm
Okay.
zooming up to, okay, so this is Elliot's game.
So how's it looking for Elliot?
I think Elliot's going to trade the knight for the bishop, and then he's going to play queen to c5.
There you go.
He's going to play queen c5 and trade the queens.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's going to have a slightly better endgame.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's going to grind it out, and he's going to win.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think, Nick?
I think that's
Yeah.
a nice little advantage with the trade of queens. It's but I have to say, hey, this is not the old Elliot. You know, every game is a grind, a long end game.
Yeah, Elliot is.
He doesn't mind to play these,
Yeah, he's just
Yeah.
playing it out.
many move
Yeah.
positions.
Yeah.
Elliot gave the kids an extra half hour at Cathedral. He arrived a
Jesus
half
Christ.
hour early and then just went in. And so at 4 o'clock he said, Paul, it's time to go. And I'm like, sorry, Elliot, we have another half hour to go. And he's like, oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh my God. Okay.
I'm organizing a tournament there.
Good. I don't know. Maybe I don't know if he wants to. There you go. C5.
He did it, so he's going to trade queens, and then because the white pawn at c4 is weak, black will just have a lot of pressure on white here.
Yes, and the black king is centralized, so a couple of little advantages in the endgame. Enough for the great Winslow.
Nice.
So, any news from Europe, Nick?
News from Europe. They had some protests in Holland against masks.
Protests against masks in Holland. Yes.
Yes, you know.
Well, in Hungary,
What's happening in Hungary?
in Hungary, they're talking about the fourth shot, booster shot, 7 booster shot, because they started giving the booster shots in August, September.
Right.
Now it's
And
starting,
now
or actually earlier, probably July or so. So they are talking about the fourth booster shots in Europe and in Hungary. So yeah. So hopefully Sophie's back soon.
And Reika.
Reiko is still here. She's going next Tuesday. So
Okay.
next Tuesday I'm gonna drop her off and then coming up here.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah,
Where is
so-
she flying out from?
Well, SFO.
SFO.
So usually SFO direct flights. So tomorrow, next Tuesday.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you-
So has she regained her American accent?
Was she flashing her British accent?
Oh, she came back with this charming British accent
well.
after only 3 months there.
Well, it's very it can be switched off quite easy. So let's just put it that way. No, she's fun.
Yeah.
She's fun. So what is
Hey, Juan.
Do you wanna join Paul a little bit?
I just say hi to
Yeah. This Juan Hassan Dejas in the house,
In the
representing.
So.
Okay.
So Fred's daughter, he's an older gentleman and he's got back to playing chess after skipping probably 2-3 decades or
Wow.
even more. His last rated tournament, well before last TNM was before 1992.
You know, the name is familiar to me.
Okay.
And that's because I'm
Yeah.
very old.
Well, I don't think so. You're revitalizing every couple of 10 years. right?
Trying to, yeah.
Wow, he's
So he's an older guy. He's gotten back into playing chess.
yes.
What a horrible mistake, right, Nick?
But he writes the funniest emails.
And a lifelong addiction.
Oh, we're just kidding around. So Elliot's going to use his rook on the 4th rank.
Yeah,
Like
it
that.
seems he really wants that rook there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one thing about algebraic that's not good, because when you talk about the 4th rank,
Yeah,
you still have to talk about it from the point of view of the player,
yeah.
right? Because that's
Yeah.
really if you use algebraic and just as well, that's the 5th rank.
Mm.
You know, but you wouldn't say that black is using the 5th rank.
Really?
No,
Okay.
you would say black is using the 4th
I
rank,
see. That's interesting.
right? So it's like that's the one place where algebraic doesn't seem to sort of work or
Very interesting.
something.
Very interesting.
Kind of
That's-
interesting.
Yeah, no, it is interesting. It is interesting. Why? Who
That
else?
said, I
Christoph.
like Elliot's move to the 4th rank.
Against
Yeah.
Roman.
And okay, so here's Christoph. Yeah, this was going
Yeah.
very well for black.
Oh yeah.
Very well for black.
Black?
Yes, rook takes c2.
So Christopher loses?
He's in a bad shape, I think, after rook takes c2. Yeah.
I see.
Black will go up a pawn, and the rook will be on the 7th rank, and I'm not really sure what white is going to do.
Oh.
What do you think, Nick? Maybe play rook d1?
Rook d1 with a few tricks, and black probably has to go back rook to c7.
So as to play king
Others-
f7.
Yeah, so he can finally get his king out and the
That
other
would
rook
be a
out.
huge upset.
Pretty big upset, yeah?
Pretty big upset because Christoph, I think he tied for second or tied
Yeah,
for...
yeah. No, he's a good player. He's a
very-
second-ranked player in the
Yeah,
tournament, so
yeah.
we'll see what happens.
Actually, he's the 3rd rank, right? Because we have a strong player. You see
Oh, he's
this
taking
one?
a bye?
Yeah, he's taking by where's here? Here's. I don't Yusheng Xia.
No, I don't know who that
him.
is.
Yeah, me neither.
Oh, a player that's ranked above Elliot.
Elliot.
Nick.
So yeah. So
Coming in next week to
Yeah.
give us show us who's
Oh.
boss.
Yeah. So I actually don't know that player.
Yusheng Xia,
Yeah.
2294.
I'll research him a little
Ah.
bit. Maybe he's a new student in the area. I
Maybe,
don't know.
yeah,
So
but took a bye.
yeah, I took a bite.
Well, that'll be interesting. Mix it up.
Yeah.
His name is the last name is Xia, Xia, and the first name is Yusheng, Yusheng.
Mm-hmm.
So interesting. And if you go to the website, he is listed in the standings and in the pairings with half point buy. So yeah,
All right.
interesting. Oh, that would be a huge upset
But here's Michael Walder.
against Luke. Wow.
Then he settles on g6. Well, white must be thinking about playing bishop takes e6. Takes, queen e6, rook f7, rook d7. Probably not good. I would do it just to...
So would you say? I mean, bishop. What? Bishop takes.
Pawn takes, queen
E7,
takes.
Queen takes, and then you
Rook-
can take the bishop.
Rook comes up to f7 now.
Oh, f7. Okay.
But then you go rook d7.
Uh,
Threatening to take rook
Oh.
e7, and you're trying to do something cheap.
there.
Oh, I guess knight g7 would be strong.
Well, yeah. But then you can get your other rook in play. too.
Well, the knight on g7 attacks the queen on e6, so the queen has to move.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess Michael is still up a pawn. Let's see, this is Mercado's game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
in Mike Walter's game, if white plays rook d7, it's interesting.
Oh, rook d7 right away. Yeah, Michael's played a little bit hesitantly here.
I think this is his first game back at mechanics since the pandemic.
Oh, I know, yeah.
He's the one game that we had, with requiring vaccination.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
medical reasons.
Yeah. Everyone has their reasons, so we have to respect that.
I'm not playing because I'm chicken.
I'm not playing because I simply suck. Right?
Yeah.
I give points to
COVID, nothing, but I'm chicken. That's why I'm not playing.
Wow. Who knows? Maybe.
Oh, okay. We're laughing. We're having a good time. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, interesting. So Luke is
Hanging in there
hanging
against
in there.
Michael.
Good.
And here's David Askin versus Adam
All I
Mercado.
can do is counting the pawns.
We're looking at David Askin in Okay, rook d7, knight d6. First time chat from Funny 4D Man. Let's go back and take a look at that really quickly.
And Funny D-Man, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Where are you from? Okay, so he said rook d7, knight d6.
I guess, yeah, and if rook e7, knight c4. Maybe white would try rook d7, knight d6, try bishop takes e6 first,
Yeah.
maybe?
Looks like you get your pawn back.
Yeah. Okay. All right, here's Askin Mercado. Well, I guess black is maybe...
This is two veterans for TNM. Both David and Adam has been regulars. So
Oh gosh, these guys play like every
week.
every minute.
Yeah.
But white's got a strong position here.
Yeah.
Adam Mercado's a mad attacker, but he's been having some difficulties lately in bringing the attack home.
But isn't like his pieces though are like bishop?
They look
and
like they're doing, but he's got to
they're,
get something going.
Yeah. Because
He's got to dislodge that queen.
yeah.
So maybe go back queen e7 and give up the rook for the knight. I wouldn't try to save the rook at this point. I would just let him. I want to play knight h4 or knight d4 or something like that. And that knight on e6 is so strong. I don't know what. I'd give anything to get rid of it. I mean, maybe black could play
I
rook.
could try to trade it off with knight to d4.
But then knight takes d4, bishop d4, queen e4. Oh, then you can go queen f6. Yeah. Yeah, knight d4. I thought that wasn't good, but I didn't look far enough. Every time I talk to Nick, he's looking further. He looks further than I do. It's not fair.
It's not fair.
It's not fair.
He should give us his GM wisdom.
Yeah. Grandmasters look farther than the rest of us do.
Yeah.
You know.
Much further. Nick is a GM.
Well, or they
yes.
pretend
He's
to.
not only a GM, he's a 3 times US champion, guys.
Yeah,
So
3-time U.S. champion. So, you know.
we are amongst celebrities.
The one thing he never does is sleep on the job.
Okay, so
Wait a minute.
Walk me through.
Someone giving me a hard time.
Walk me through. So knight d4.
Black plays knight d4, white takes it.
Okay.
And then if bishop takes d4, I thought queen e4 was very strong because it attacks g6 pawn and the bishop on d4. But black can play queen f6, for example. And that defends the bishop on d4 and the pawn on g6, so not so clear, maybe.
And then it now aligns the rook and no? It's not
Yeah, well, I mean,
important.
it just holds everything together, I guess, for black. So maybe this isn't so.
Bad after all for Adam.
Yeah, I like Nick's move, knight d4, maybe just try to forcibly get that knight away
Yeah.
from e6. Of course,
I bet Adam is going to play queen to e7
my
or
move.
queen f6 and give up material, get that knight moving, the pawn moving. He likes action, and that's why I love to see his games.
Yeah. So queen e7 is giving up the rook
Yeah.
for the knight.
Yeah.
And then you can play knight h4 or knight d4 or then pawn f3. So, okay, let's move on though to Jaden Zhu versus Lucas.
So Jaden played at the North American Open, so I met them there after.
Okay, how did that go?
It went good. They had 800 players.
800 players.
And
Oh my god. Did you play? No.
And out of the 800, I think I can count 2 players who were really disobedient with the mask, but every other player were really nice.
Well,
and
what are they
good.
gonna? So what happened? They were kicked out of the
Well,
tournament.
they were threatened, really.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and then
Right.
they obeyed. So
Right. It's
you
like
know.
going to a chess tournament without your pants on or something like that. Now you better wear your mask or you're gonna be asking.
But if you know, if a female arbiter says, "Okay, can you please put on your pants?" Of course they're not gonna put on, right? But when the strong male arbiter goes in, then of course they get frightened. So,
Ah,
yeah,
well.
no, it's fine. It's fine.
oh, good. So it worked out.
Yeah, it worked out, and it's also interesting to see how these events produce opportunities where really the arbiters can gain confidence. So I had two threefold occurrence claims back
Did
to
your
back.
daughter come with you?
No,
No.
she didn't. So she has to study.
Okay.
But it's
3-time repetitions.
yeah,
Oh.
so occurrence, right? And it's like playing back to back at 10:30 p.m. So it was late. But I was just telling Martha Underwood, my roommate, and just said, I used to be so frightened of this, right? I mean, I used to be really afraid of these situations, and then it's good to get practice because it gives you calm. It's okay, you can handle
You need
this.
calm. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's good.
Wow. The players need a smack to make them put their masks on.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But as you can see, I mean, seriously, this crowd, this community is really good. They behave.
Oh
very
yeah, yeah,
well.
yeah. This is our first vaccine required event,
Yes.
and
Which I think it's a good move, smart move.
I think it is. I mean, you have to go with what the community is doing.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not playing by the rules of your community,
Yeah.
you know, I can't really say, I'm not a scientist and I don't know much more than that, but I know the community I live in and everyone's wearing a mask, so,
Yeah.
you
And
know.
to be honest, I think any time earlier would have been a little early because of our chess players are a little bit older than usual.
That's right.
But we do have those, 10, 12, 14 years old who weren't qualified to get a shot until now, and now they should be well into their
Right.
vaccination, and so now
So
it's good.
we'll see the tournament coming up on this Saturday, right? Because the
Yes.
kids playing in that usually,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, but I mean,
Right.
we do have registrations, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
told Abel I think we're gonna have to close it again. So, guys, if you hear this, register early because
What's the name of the tournament?
I think Bob Burger.
It's the burger.
I don't want to say it.
No,
it's a
Bob Burger. Yeah,
Bob
that's
Burger.
yeah.
Hamburger.
No, Bob Burger. I mean, Nick knew Bob.
So sorry.
Nick knew Bob well. He wrote a book on Bobby Fischer.
Yeah.
He was one of the
Yeah.
best trustees that chess ever had here.
Yeah.
Organizer and friend to the mechanics.
Yeah.
But I didn't know him very well. What about you? What about you, Nick? The Bob Burger Memorial's coming up. Do you have a few words to say about Bob?
Yes, actually, I mean, I knew Bob very well, and Taryn in the library knew Bob very well. So he'd come in, he was an old San Franciscan style, sort of like the Mad Men of the 1950s advertising, and he'd go out to Attish's or Sam's, the old restaurants, and live the life the way the people did in the 50s and 60s. So,
Right.
and he'd take, the Historical Society. He was also part of the San Francisco Historical Society. Therefore, our historical librarian, Taryn, would join those gatherings.
They just don't make them like that anymore.
No, it's some things of the old days were really good.
So let's go there because the broadcast is going.
Here is Romeo Barrero. versus Deandra Stallworth on board 1 of the under 1800 section.
And it looked pretty even, 6 pawns against 6. Nobody's got a really good angle in.
Mm-hmm. Maybe a little easier to play for white somehow.
Maybe, yes.
Is it? Tell me about this pawn structure. This pawn structure. I don't trust this pawn structure with black, even though I get it sometimes from the openings that I play. This you can get really badly messed up with this pawn structure. It requires a delicate touch.
Yes, that somehow those 4 white pawns on the queen side are very compact and strong and control center square. So even though there's nothing very solid, it is nicer for one. Maybe some pawn to d5 will come in at some point. For the moment, you still have to be careful. Black also gets his pieces in.
Right.
Pawn to d5, queen to c5 check.
All right, I'm going to go back up to Elliot's game, Nick. And white is still...
Now there we saw the big...
White is still thinking after rook g5. And there are some problems for white here in this endgame. He may just have to go a pawn down at some point and give up the c4 pawn, or he may just end up losing it.
The queens are sure to be traded, and black will double on the c line.
And then play b5 if necessary. Yeah, it's almost a forced win of a pawn for black.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to move on to board 2, where black has taken a pawn, white played rook d1, and then black took time out and played e5 rather than your rook c7. And this is just a poor position for white, I think.
Such a nice call move, pawn to e5. You just don't worry.
This is, I'd
mean,
be
I like
really
that
worried if I was white here. Maybe rook d2 and try to get this rook off the 7th rank. You have to.
It's funny how that white rook on g1 is so bad because of black knight on h5.
Yeah, that's a knight dominating a rook right there.
Yes.
It's amazing.
A terrific knight on the rim that controls the board. And when it finally does jump, it jumps into the beautiful e5 square. Sorry, f4 square.
Yeah. All right, I'm moving on to board 3, where Michael Walter has played g6 and white is still thinking. No action, Jackson. Happy New Year, Juan.
Happy New Year.
Yeah. Feliz Navidad. That's so good to see Juan here. And here's board 4, Askin, Mercado. Okay, so he played rook f7. He decided to hold on to all of his material and didn't play the move that you suggested or I suggested, Nick. So, what is it with these players trying to think for themselves? You know, why aren't they listening to us? So,
I mean, that's a good move, but it's not an Adam Mercado Jackson.
Yeah. Move. Bishop d3 is the obvious response. I don't think I'm gonna like black if white gets to play bishop f5. That knight at e6
Ooh.
is just.
Ouch. Trading off the knight, and you have that beautiful knight on e6 against, which looks like an active bishop, but it's passive. It's blocked by its own pawns.
Right. Yeah, I think that rook f7 was a little not to the point there. Let's take a look at Jaden Zhu versus Lucas. This is a complicated middle game here. I mean, black is a pawn ahead. You know, black is a pawn ahead. And here, another complicated position, probably even. That's Romeo Barrerio's game. Let's go back up to Elliot's game, Nick. And white plays pawn to a4. So he's going to try to stop pawn to b5 by brute force.
Okay, good move. Good move. Seeing what is coming up there.
Rook e5.
So no quick win of a pawn due to the pin. But
Black could play rook e5, queen c5, rook e1, rook c5, rook c1. Black is close to winning a pawn immediately, right? Maybe.
well, yeah, I don't see the win of a pawn here. It's you'll be passive with those white rooks, just guarding the pawns that
Right.
black doubles on, but no, it's going to be a long grind.
And that h7 pawn could be weak too.
Yes, a little hard to get to, but if a rook does swing over, vulnerable.
Okay. Let's move on.
No.
This game is still, white is in trouble here in the Christophe Bambou. And here's Walder's game. That game is still stuck on move 17. Here's Askin versus Mercado, still on move 22 after bishop g3. Here's Jaden Zhu, still thinking about his move on the 17th move. And Romeo Barrerio, black plays d5. And that might be well timed to try to knock it, or it might be a horrible move. Who knows? It's either good or
One
bad.
question is, what happens on knight g5?
Details. Yeah, that's true. Knight g5 threatens to come in on e6. I guess what?
You go pawn takes c4, knight takes e6, pawn to c3.
Yeah.
Honor attacking against the white queen. Well,
A big time
yeah,
difference.
actually, maybe knight g5, pawn c4, knight e6, pawn c3, knight takes queen on c7, pawn takes d2, rook to d1. May just be an extra pawn for the white side. And DeAndre Stallworth just lashed out with pawn to d5, but loosening move.
Yeah, knight g5 is a strong one. D takes c4, knight e6, queen c6, or queen c8, then knight g7. Doesn't look like it's gonna help.
Yeah, I mean, somehow lots of possibilities for white.
Back to Elliot, who's still thinking after
Yes, no,
A4.
now that game,
A4 is a stubborn move. Stubborn.
Stubborn's very good.
Okay, so Elliot just temporizes with B6.
Yes, both players are committed to the end game.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's move on. Still, Christoph Bamboo is still thinking after pawn E5. Actually, I might. I'm going to refresh the I'm going to reload the page and see if anything has happened in that game. No. Oh, they agreed to a draw? Whoa.
Oh,
I think black got scared. Yeah, that's clearly this is
Black was winning like 90%.
black is winning. It's a winning position. Yeah, this is not a timely draw for, I guess. All right, game drawn. And
with
this
the
is
higher rating, and
yeah.
Lardent had played such a great game. He really looked like a master. Didn't want to finish him off.
No. Hey, bye, Adam. All right, this is another Adam. This is David Askin, Adam Mercado. Still black thinking. Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Bishop D3. Last chance maybe to play knight D4, even though it gives up the pawn at G6.
Yeah.
Jaden Zhu versus Lucas Lichnowsky. Black is stubbornly hanging on to the extra pawn. I admire the strategy. And white still has to prove something here. I think black has been outplaying white here.
Yeah, it's
And knight
the longer
G5,
it goes with them.
knight G5 happened, and black can't pretend that he didn't see that coming. He had something brilliant prepared. Right, Nick? What is it?
I guess so. Well,
We'll find out.
It looks like white wins a pawn, even though it gets complicated.
All right, in Winslow's game, the queens are being traded. So white just switches over to passive defense with rook c5, rook e4, rook a5, rook a1. Is that really going to work?
Oh, that queen trade. I mean, couldn't you have played king f2 or rook c2? Now,
Yeah.
white rooks are a little. They would have been better doubled on the c file to guard the c pawn. Rook e4.
Rook e4, rook a5.
a1, and
then king e7 and h5 or something. I don't know. No, black doesn't want to play h5, but he can.
h5 might be a good move.
It can defend. At least the pawn is defended on that square. Eventually.
Yes. So no immediate win of a pawn, but black's in control.
Okay. And now.
White rook one passive square or another.
Hey, thanks everybody for joining us. We are the Mechanics Institute Chess Club, located at 57 Post in beautiful downtown San Francisco. Yeah, well, the thing is on rook e4, going back to Elliot's game, you know, if the rook goes to h4, black is going to play pawn h5, I think, and he's not going to let that pawn go unless he's convinced that he's got a win on the other side of the board. So that's not.
He definitely wants to hold that pawn.
And here's Michael Walder's game. White is still thinking. All right. Time trouble is going to rear its ugly head.
Well, okay, I just, rook d7 looks automatic to me. Any move like
You're talking about
c8,
Michael
you have
Walder's
bishop takes e6, knight to d6, you have bishop takes e6. So why not get that rook to an active spot?
Yeah, I mean, could black even be in trouble, like with rook f7 possible, or bishop e6?
You have to watch out, certainly. But rook to d7, if that bishop goes to d8 at first, double the rooks.
Yeah, I mean, what is black doing? I think black has made some questionable moves here. A g6 didn't look forced to me.
Yeah, I would have done knight d6 to keep that rook out of the 7th rank.
All right, well, let's go to Mercado's game for a second.
Okay,
here.
Adam is sacrificing the pawn. I like it. He has to sacrifice something. That's his style.
Well, I think he's backtracking, actually. He could have played knight d4 on the move before.
Yes, or maybe he should have just sacrificed the exchange, because that black knight on d4 would have been a very powerful piece. But now, knight takes d4, bishop takes d4, bishop g6, rook g7, bishop back to f5, probably.
Rook g3.
And that looks like a push. Oh.
No, I don't think it works.
Wow.
Then queen e4.
Gotta like it.
Queen e4.
Yeah, but that's
That's the kind of thing black has to try. Then f3.
Well, that pawn is pinned. The queen on e4 would take black queen on h4.
Details.
We're getting some ideas for the black side.
Okay, so knight d4, bishop d4,
He's got
queen
an open
e4.
pawn.
Go back to my original queen e4 move. And then black just loses a pawn and goes into a bishops of opposite color endgame after queen f6.
Well, but you won't go into the ending. You'll go back.
Oh, I see.
Queen to g6, rook g7.
Yeah.
Oh, but it doesn't look so nice. Okay, but if it's a bishops of opposite color middle game, there's chances.
Let's look at let's just keep going. Oh, go ahead. Oh.
Against Luke with Jaja against Walder, just sacrifice the bishop.
Well, this is maybe a good move. This was my original idea. But what does it do?
Does it work?
Takes queen e6 check, rook f7. If you play rook g7, then knight g7. Right? I guess the queen draws back on the diagonal, but then black can play bishop takes g5. Right?
Well,
Oh, no. Then,
okay,
then you lose the rook at f7. Okay. Ooh.
but maybe the queen could come into e8.
Yeah.
Doesn't quite look sound.
No, it doesn't.
It's tricky, but I mean, why not put the rook on d7 first? Well, at least we have a lot
I think
of
Michael
action.
played a few faltering moves. Okay. Are you still on that game, Nick?
Well,
Want to try to figure this out?
Actually get to see the others.
Okay. Let's move on to Mercado's game. And White's still thinking after knight d4, and Jaden Zhu versus Lucas is still a complicated middle game with black a pawn ahead, and Romeo Barrerio is following our analysis. D takes c4, knight e6, and black is a little bit in trouble here.
So probably he wants to go c3 just to. Oh, but that's an end game.
An endgame of pawn down. Not pleasant. And if he plays queen c6 or queen c8, can White play knight g7 and then c3? I mean, that's just incredibly risky for black. Or maybe White just takes on c4 first, and if queen c4 it takes on g7.
Oh, that looks pretty straightforward and simple. Queen c6, just pawn takes c, and that's a pawn up for.
And because if queen c4, knight takes g7.
Black knight hanging on e7.
Yeah, I don't see any shot there. Like rook f1 mate, except for it's not mate. Okay.
Yeah.
Back up to Elliot's game. A typical Elliot Winslow grind. Grindhouse. Grindhouse chess with Elliot Winslow.
Yeah. Now, I think he'll win the game, but this is going to take a lot of work.
And that's the way he likes it. That's the way he likes it. Just a lot of work. All right, let's move on to this game was drawn. And Michael Walter has accepted the bishop and interposed his rook and said, "What have you got? What have you got?"
Okay.
Juan likes my commentary. What do you got, huh? What do you got here? So we were thinking, Juan, that these chess games are like the Three Little Pigs or the Three Bears. You know, somebody's eating the soup is too hot or it's too cold. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us. This is the Tuesday Night Marathon, the only game in town. At least the only game going on in downtown San Francisco. So what's White got here? Did he just throw the kitchen sink in? What, rook d7. All right, knight g7.
Let's and say queen to b3.
Queen to b3, all right. And then queen e8, like you said. And then does white just play positionally? Brings the other rook over to
queen
d1?
Yeah, I mean, you can win the b pawn or something. Queen d8. But it's the white g pawn is hanging. Just no, it looks like it was too impetuous.
Okay. Michael Walter playing the unusual role of defender.
Yeah, he's usually the one who loves to sacrifice.
And tight chess, you got to realize that white, it's not a pawn at this point. It's a piece. Yeah, that's true. You might be
What
getting
if we go knight d5?
knight d5 first, and then bishop c5. Say.
Oh, c5 is a good square. Wow. Stops knight to b6. That could have been an annoying move.
Yeah. But I agree that somehow it looks like white's getting somewhere a little bit. Yeah, it is white's move. Yeah, white's move. Rook g7 or
Looks
knight
like
d5.
Rook d7, knight to g7. Maybe the movie missed, not defending the bishop but hitting the queen.
Mm-hmm.
And that queen has to retreat.
And then that gives black time for queen e8.
And queen e8, yes. A nice move.
And then if you double rooks, bishop c5.
Okay, double rooks. Just take on, maybe.
Or yeah. Okay, well, black is, yeah, take the pawn.
It just doesn't look like it fits together for white.
And there's Titan Chess is suggesting queen takes b7 after queen e8 instead of my rook d1, so that oh well, he didn't play knight d5, and now looks like bishop c5 is very strong. It just takes over all these key squares.
Yeah.
Can white try rook d3 or rook a3 to play rook f3? Or something crazy like that? Or rook d3? Should black play bishop takes g5 instead of bishop c5? Bishop c5 looks natural.
Yes, probably they're both good. But bishop d5, maybe knight b6 cause a little trouble.
Yeah, to say the least.
7 coming.
Yeah. Bishop c5, rook d3. I'm trying to find a move.
Oh, I
move for white.
like giving up that f pawn with check.
I saw it.
Bishop c5. Well, and knight c7 will be coming to trade off.
I think knight d5 was premature. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny how the forcing move is not always the right move. It's weird.
Yes.
Chess is strange that way. Just played over.
Listen.
Did you see any of those games from the Rapid final, Nick?
Some.
The Rapid Championship. I watched this.
Yes, a couple of the games.
Yeah, it's fun watching a video of this kid Abdu Sadarov playing Carlsen, Aronian, and Caruana. I watched those video of him beating Carlsen, Aronian, and Caruana, and Nepomniachtchi. And it just reminded me so much of these young players that you see in the club. You know, they're concentrated. Their nerves are fantastic. It's amazing to watch. And I mean, Caruana and how old is Caruana now, Nick?
Was he 29 or 30?
Yeah, I mean, this kid is like half their age now. About half of Carlson's
Yes.
age. I mean, there's no doubt that there's a tide coming in chess, and this kid and Firouzja are leading the way, but there'll definitely be others. Maybe even our own Hans Niemann. You know, I mean, who really,
Yes.
we got a chance to see Hans develop into quite a strong player here before he left. In fact, we're commenting on the Tuesday night marathon. Hans once won this tournament with a perfect 9-0 score. Or was it, I think he might have won the last game on forfeit, or maybe he agreed, maybe it was 8.5 out of 9. But it was incredible.
He did get one perfect score.
Yeah, I think he did.
And
So, yeah.
I mean, it took him a while to get, he lost the first times and he improved, and then he might have tied for first in one Tuesday night marathon, but then he won it and he graduated.
Yeah, and
taught him everything we knew in the club.
Anyway, Hans, well, he's good, but there's something incredible about this Abdu Sadarov and Firouzja, who seem to just have, play already at a level that's remarkable for the. And you can see they're playing. He's playing, beating Aronian and Nepomniachtchi, and they're, he's playing on level terms with them. There's just no doubt about it. Yeah, Bishop C5 looks like the right move.
It may have been.
Let's move on.
It's been a bit of a surprise to Carlsen and the others that they youngster, what is his name again?
Abdu Sadarov.
That he, you sometimes you think beat some new up and coming player, and then they turn out to be a lot stronger than you thought. And I think that's one thing that happened to Carlsen in that game. He could have won many times, but he just wanted to win and kept pushing it forward.
Right, and then Abdu Sadarov did what he was supposed to do, which was once the game turned around, he kept playing. He was playing for the win, So it was.
Yes.
Yeah, it was great to watch.
Yeah, he's. In the least, he's a super talent.
Yeah.
See how far he goes. He's already won one kind of world championship.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, and the Rapid Championship, I mean, a lot of people, that's a, you know, the Blitz Championship is one thing. I mean, of course, the better players are going to rise to the top, but Rapid is, you know, that's somewhat of a slow time control, even, you know. What's going on here?
Yeah,
Nick?
it's not just which game you're looking at.
Askin Mercado.
Okay. Yes, that, of course, Adam sacrificed a pawn. It's only a pawn. Adam, you expect change, you expect it's a piece or something, so one pawn, but can he get in any way? Because that bishop on e6 really holds the light squares.
Well, Rook G3 is the key. That's what he's going for. Maybe even Queen G3. But yeah, Rook G3 is what black. So what White's got the move here. What can he do to do something? Dangerous position for White.
Yeah, it's a little tricky.
King H1. That's a cold-blooded move. I like that. I like that a lot. King H1's got that a nice, yeah. It's a good looking move. All right. We're going to get some time trouble. We're going to get some action. Jackson. Look at this game.
Oh, look at this nice move from Winslow.
Oh, okay. Let me jump up there. Rook A6. He's going straight after that.
Way in the box there.
Yeah. And White played G4, which stops his own rook to go to H4. Not a good move.
Yeah.
That was clearly not a good
Now,
move whenever it was played.
great move from Winslow, winning a pawn.
Yeah. And G4
Doesn't
was
seem to be
bad.
any defense.
Which is the last move, man.
Yeah, White played G4, which was a mistake, a clear mistake. I mean, there was the king could have been brought into the defense of the C pawn. There were all kinds of other moves. White's just kind of giving up here, I think. Well, I
But he
guess.
didn't see that great move. Rook A6.
Oh, rook ace. Oh yeah, okay, F5 is a legit idea. I like that. I like that. Very true. I think it is true. Take on E6 and then double rooks on that E pawn.
Well, say rook on C5 to A5, pawn to F5, rook takes A4.
Pins,
So you want to double.
but then rook A2. So doesn't the
Yeah, it looks like black is able to swap off a pair of rooks and hold the E6 pawn.
so after rook A5, what if White takes first on E6?
Rook A5, you have to go pawn to F5 first.
Oh yeah, that's right. Rook A4. Yeah, no time. Okay.
So Wiley Winslow picks up a pawn.
Winslow, look at him. All right, let's look at board 3. Michael Walder is facing the knight D5 move and taking his time. And Askin Mercado, Black's played King H8, so what could be more natural than White playing King H1? That's what you do. One king goes in the corner, and the other king goes in the corner. Right? This is chess. Uh-oh. Something happened on one. Oh, white took on
Okay.
d6.
This is a good move, maybe.
Is rook g3? So does rook g3 win the game? Maybe. Queen e4.
G3, queen to e4.
Well, black can't play f3 because the queen takes h4.
Yeah.
So maybe taking on d6 is not so bad.
Yes. Probably you have to recapture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good takes.
Just retake.
Yeah, it's still
Okay.
some play, but pawn ahead for white.
All right, let's look at the Romeo Barreiro game. Somehow black got a pawn on the queen side. Because after d takes c4, 96, queen d6, white didn't capture on c4 for some reason, but played knight g5.
Oh, well, that's
Oh, that's so bad.
well, that's
I
not
don't
good.
understand that. Why not take on c4? Just remain a pawn ahead. Instead, he played
Oh, well,
knight g5, allowed the exchange on b3, and black plays knight d5. Ooh, that almost allows mate in one, doesn't it? White's just going backward. Rook e8, rook f8. I guess that doesn't lead to anything, really. White's in full retreat mode, but it hasn't
Yeah.
really harmed his game. Well, it has harmed his game, but...
could have been a pawn up.
Yeah, it could have been a pawn up, a clean pawn up. All right, back up to Winslow's game. Speaking of Mr. Pawn Up. Oh, Winslow just played king f6 instead. Does black have
Okay.
22 seconds in one of these games? It's possible. Oh my god, it looks like it. It's very possible. But black is outplaying white, it looks like. Queen check. King. That's a draw, or that looks like a draw right there. That would be a draw if white played queen c8 check here, I think.
Boy, dangerous move. Well,
Yeah, rook takes d4, but black has only seconds left. This is a funny game.
oh, better move.
Knight f7. Yeah, that might win too, with the idea of rook d8 check. And
Queen check.
black can play queen f8 here, but does that work?
Queen
Queen f8,
check.
queen check, king h7 forced.
Oh, good thing not to lose.
This is so dangerous for black.
Check.
My God, grabbing that pawn.
Yeah, that was incredibly dangerous. It looks like black is losing now. Check, and then you can even just bring the knight back to f3 maybe. Queen g6, king g8, knight f3. Threatening knight d4 and rook e8 check. And then knight f4.
Oh, that is cool. Just queen g6 check, king g8, knight f3.
But maybe black has knight f4 there. Something should be winning for white.
Queen g6, king to
G8.
H8, also knight to D7.
Yeah.
Rook F1, no?
Knight F4, knight takes queen on F8, knight takes G6, knight takes G6 is a
Piece ahead.
endgame.
And also, Queen G6, King G8, maybe Rook F1.
Rook F1, yeah.
But then Knight F6. Not so clear. But I like Nick's move, Knight G7. Queen G6, King G8, Knight D7.
Mhm,
And that threatens the queen and threatens Rook E8.
mhm.
And if Knight F4, then you can take the queen. And if Knight takes the queen on G6, you can take back. And then Black is lost.
Yes, I was just too greedy taking that D4 pawn. Sense of danger deserted him.
All right, let's see how Winslow's doing. He's doing very well indeed.
Oh man, he played G3.
Winslow is still waiting for his opponent to make a move. Michael Walder played bishop c5, and White played rook c1, attacking the bishop, which went to d4.
He played G3, man.
Oh! Wow, and does Rook C8 win the game?
Wow, Walder is just messing this up, right? Queen c8, knight e7, king f8, knight c8.
Yes. Oh. That's poor Mike.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's
my.
really gotten smashed here.
Oh, that's right. Did she?
He played it.
Wow.
Something's off with Mike. Well, it's time to go into solid mode.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm not sure how. Oh, you can take and play knight g7, knight f8, king f8. Yeah, wow. All right. Here's Askin Mercado. Oops.
Yeah, maybe, there's some salvage in the
This
Judge
is
Wilder game.
Askin
After
Mercado.
the-
It looks like a draw, an even position somehow.
Asking Mercado isn't a pawn up.
Yeah. But I mean, can White really expect a lot from this position?
Ooh, now
Rook
is Rook
c7?
C7 possible?
Yeah, I know. Bishop c8 looks like a bad move. Rook c7 and
Okay.
then rook c2 or tricks are in the air. Let's look at Jaden Zhu and Lucas. That game is a positional grind. And Romeo Barrerio, White played g3. And now Black is back to defending his
Oh.
position. Oh no, he's mated now. Oh, rook f6? Rook f6.
You know, queen check.
Rook F6, Queen to C1 would be nice.
That's not very nice of you. Rook f6, queen c1. White's a pawn down now. And hasn't
My
managed
God,
to... It's a crazy upset so far.
what a turnaround.
Queen f5 check probably still draws. Yeah. Yeah. Winslow is the amazing rook a6 followed by rook a5 idea, Nick. The mighty
Yes.
Winslow.
Well,
The mighty
Huh?
Winslow.
I mean, those rooks look very impressive on those, what looks like two horrible squares, but they win the pawn.
Amazing. Here's Michael Walder's game, rook c8, and Michael's still thinking. Has to play queen c8.
Maybe can also go king to g7.
Yes, that's a better move.
Sure, not sure. Sure. But in any case, you're going to have a bishop and rook for the queen, and that bishop is pretty good on the d4 square, so not necessarily lost at all for black.
Okay. What is this h5? Denying white the g4 square.
Yeah. Really hoping to attack.
Okay. And let's take one last look at Romeo Barreto, this game. Back up to board one, Elliot Winslow. And white just discards the a4 pawn. As well he should.
Yes.
And now we're in for another 30 move grind. All right, let's go back to, oh, this game was drawn. Michael Walder is still thinking here, and Askin Mercado, bishop e6, black is thinking. He didn't play rook c7 like we thought. He wants to play rook g3, but does it do anything after queen e4?
Yeah, hard to do anything.
Yeah, hard to do anything, I agree. Taking a quick look at Jaden Zhu versus Lucas Lizhnewski. Oh, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing his name. Lizhnewski? And white's trying to regain the pawn, and if I'm black, I'm like, no way. Or after all this, are you going to get my pawn, that pawn? B5. After all this effort.
Yeah.
And Romeo Barrett, oh no. White just hung an exchange. Oh no, he played all the way back. Oh, white has completely lost the thread of this game. 2 pawns down now for the lost position. Black has 1 second left on his clock though, and it's very possible he's going to overstep. And maybe that's what white is playing for here. What a disastrous. White completely losing the thread of the game. Oh, black just
Maybe
blundered.
he got too excited.
Black just blundered his knight. So the game is going into all kinds of strange territory, Nick. Well, with 1 second left, he's just making moves. He's just making moves with 1 second left. This is probably a technical win for white now, right?
It should be.
Yeah.
It should be. Pawns will give him a little trouble.
All right, we'll come back to that in a minute. Take a look at Elliot's just taking the pawn, and another, like I said, 30 move grind. Board 3, Michael Walder is still in the think tank. Board 4, Adam plays Queen G3.
Aha!
All right, so that
Okay.
makes sense. That makes sense. Although Queen H5 check, just
That hurts a little bit.
yeah, what the
Ouch.
heck?
If
What?
the pawn were just back on H6, well
Well,
then bishop to G4. But that may be a drawn endgame.
what happens here?
It-
Queen H5
Ooh,
check, Rook
Queen
H7.
H5.
That must just be an oversight. Nobody could allow a move
Yes.
like that. Remember, white always has bishop to G4. Oh no, then pawn F3. What's going? No. What's going on here?
How much happens with Jack?
Yeah. Rook H7,
Was Adam
Queen E8 check, King G7. I mean, I'm not sure I see a forced win for white. Do you? Maybe Queen G8 check, King H6, Bishop
forced.
F5.
Yeah, not a force.
Well, black is just went off the rails here. What do you think, Nick?
Well, yes, I don't quite see the total knockout, but must be there something a little slow. So,
All right,
Um,
Romeo is now won both the queenside pawns, and looks like he won the game on time. That was one of the most horrible games I've witnessed here in a while.
Yeah, that was bad. That was
That was
had
like,
it. Yeah.
did Star Wars start off with a time deficit?
Oh, he was with 2 seconds left for a long time.
Did he start off that way? Like did he come to the board late or something?
No, he
Just
takes his time.
he took his time and he took.
He does that almost every game where he's down to seconds. Yeah.
It doesn't pay off in the long run, I think, being a time pressure addict.
Yeah.
Wow, what a oh, wait a minute.
yeah, well, he was winning that game. Poor stalwart. And he was also losing before he was winning, so there's some kind of justice there.
Okay. Let's go up to board 1 and Elliot. Whoa. Okay, so white pushed f5, black went by with e5 and then played g5 check, and now rook e5. I think white's playing without much of a plan here, but this king goes back to f6, and then what? White's just losing time, and his own pawns lack integrity. King F6.
King back on F6 would be a safe place. You know, that's the one thing you worry that your king gets checked all over the board.
And then the rook has to go back to e4 to defend the pawn at c4, and black has a free hand for a while. Anyway, it's a thought. Black is clearly better. Oh, Elliot played it. Okay.
I think we'll see it.
He played it. Let's see how Michael Walder did. Oh, he played king g7. What happened here? After rook c8, he played queen c8. Oh, he played queen c8. And after knight e7, king g7, knight c8 was played.
Knight c8, and then
Rook
what do we
f2 doesn't work.
do? Knight c7.
Ooh, knight c7.
And the white queen still has to guard the knight, so the queen would have to retreat to b4.
And then rook f4. And if queen g7, rook f7.
Queen d7, rook f7, and how do you guard the knight?
You don't. You play rook takes d4 and give the queen back.
Oh, that would be very good.
And win a bishop, a knight, and a rook for the queen.
That line is queen g4, rook f4, queen d7, rook f7, rook takes d4.
And wins, I guess.
And wins the game. So queen g4. Well, still good for white.
Yes. Let's roll down to Mercado's game.
Oh, he's still alive, but barely. He's on life support here. Yeah, how to put him away.
How about queen e8, king g7, queen e7, king h6, and then queen takes d6? That's being too greedy? Is that being too greedy?
Well, I guess it's
Black can't play pawn f3 because queen takes g3. It's all forced.
It probably works. A little risky, getting the white queen away. But it looks like you could steal that pawn.
It threatens a discovered check too, maybe.
Yes, certainly does. Queen e8 check, king g7, queen e7 check.
Forces king h6.
King h6, queen takes e6. And then would you be able to play rook to g7?
I could play bishop g4 check if I had to.
Yes. Well, looks good to steal that another pawn. Right now you're two pawns ahead.
All right, let's look at Lucas's game. Jaden Zhu versus Lucas. And black played b5, and white's just knight f4. Where's the knight going? Oh, he's going to sack on g6 or something? Knight f8. Defends the... attacks d4. I'm liking black's game here. Back up to Elliot. Elliot has got 3 weak pawns to work on. This is not looking good for white at all. I think
Yeah,
white,
it's just I'm
white's
saying
game,
it's just one pawn, but
white's game is in its last throes. Who said that? Was that one of Bobby Fischer's comments from my 60 memorable games? White's game is in its last throes.
probably it was used there. I've heard it several times.
Yeah, we should
Fisher's
get.
book may have been the first.
We should make a little collection of hackneyed phrases like, White's game is in its last throes, or, deadly pass pawn on the 6th rank, or something. Right? A devastating knight
Well, I think
fork.
we used them.
Devastating knight fork.
Winslow the Grind.
Yeah, Winslow the Grinder. All right, here's Walter's game, and the queen did retreat to g4.
Now, I doubt we'll see rook f4, queen d7, rook f7, rook d4.
It might be worth a while for black to try that, though.
Yeah, and
This
then
looks
just go pawn takes d4.
Yeah, this looks drawish. That's a good one. This looks drawish. Unclear is definitely... unclear says that the annotator's mind is not clear, I guess. What would you do if you were black here? Try for the draw that doesn't exist.
Try for the draw. Yeah, I think I'd go rook f4 and rook back to f7.
Just to give it a shot. Because I think black's lost.
Probably lost, because that knight on c8 will jump back into play so quickly.
All right. Here's the Mercado game, where white's still thinking after rook h7. And Jaden Zhu, Lucas is still thinking after knight f4. And Elliot's opponent has raced his rook around to the h file. But this kind of counterplay is way too late, I think. I think black has a good move here with rook takes f5. Keeping it simple. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah. Rook f5, you trade it, you take on h7.
And you just go back king g6.
And it's still just one pawn. King g6, you'd have to retreat to h4.
And maybe black has got B5 possibility? Maybe not.
Yeah, okay. But that's a pawn up. I think we can enjoy I.M. Winslow's technique in this.
Okay. Michael Walder is still
Funny.
thinking. And David Askin is still thinking. And Lucas Lichnowsky is still thinking. Let's go back up to Winslow's games.
Well, lots of time for Winslow.
Yeah, that's another thing, is that time pressure is starting to rear its ugly head here. If I was Michael, I think I would just go for it here. Play rook f4 and just hope that my opponent doesn't see the possibility of playing rook takes d4
Yes.
after queen g7, rook f7, rook takes d4. I guess black can take on d4 then, right?
But can you just take back on B?
I mean, maybe he's going to be satisfied with a draw against the master.
Yes, we just saw it in Christoph Bamboo's game. Well, you're clearly losing, but you've got that great higher rating, so you intimidate your opponent a bit, offer a draw, and then they start to worry.
Right. I don't know.
Well,
Here's
lots
he played queen e. Okay,
of times for both sides.
David Askin played queen e8 check, king g7, and now he must be wondering what to do here. Do you see any other knockout blow for white here? Do you
Well,
see?
perhaps bishop f5.
Forcing the rook to a bad square.
Yeah.
Like rook h8, queen f7, king h6, queen h7, king g5, queen g6, king h4, queen h6, something like that. Snaking the queen up for a mate.
Yeah, you get, at least when that d6 pawn too. Yeah, I don't see a mate, but could be just able to control that.
All right.
Oh,
What?
so we have that. That's quite a move, knight to e7, but
In Michael Walder's game? Okay.
yeah, but now it's not worse for black anymore. You can go rook e8, queen takes knight on
Yeah.
c7,
Yeah.
rook takes on,
White missed a
and the
golden.
tail end, you win the pawn on f2 check.
White missed a golden opportunity with rook d4. You know, I think the one of the things that I noticed, the difference between a B player and an expert is, one of the things is giving up the exchange. I think it's still, the idea of giving up the exchange is still something that's difficult for B players to do. Or the thought of giving up the exchange.
Yes.
It's only when you start entering A expert territory that you realize that more of the fluidity of the exchange here. Michael is seizing the day here with rook E8. This is like you said, this is now dark square blockade, the kind of position that Michael would enjoy playing. Whew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
What
push on D4 is worth a rook.
Yeah. And that's what I think where the B player is yet to get to, is that realization. And David Askin is still working out the win here, or trying to work out the win after.
Well, careful. If you too fancy, you use up all your time.
Yeah, that's true too. And Jaden Zhu is still, Black did play knight f8, Lucas did play, and Black is just, I like Black more and more and more in this game here. Just grinding out the extra pawn thing. And this game did proceed as you thought with the rook h4 move. All right, I'm going to try the simplest thing here. Which is pawn to b5. Is that any good?
Winslow game?
Carpa d1. Carpa d8. Carpa e8. DM. So what happens if b5?
I think you're right. It wins another pawn. Very nice.
I mean, white can do a couple of checks, but that's it. The king goes and hides on f8 or something, or keeps moving along the rook g4 check, king, not h5 because of rook g7. Even that would probably be winning, maybe. Elliot is on the cusp of victory here. And White's unwillingness to think of sacrificing, the B player makes the conventional sacrifices, but the unconventional one would have been correct here. Black is very solid now. What do you think? This isn't even a win for White now anymore.
No.
Even the exchange sacrifice, if it could somehow happen, wouldn't be a win.
No, very, very solid for Black.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I think
Michael must be breathing a sigh of relief.
maybe Black can win the game.
Yeah. Amazing. And White checks the Black king to h6. Where it must, I guess the king could go to g6. No, it couldn't. Bishop f5 check, okay. So now
I kind of like your move. King h6, queen takes d6. I mean, it just it does hold everything. Threatens.
Threatens bishop f5 check.
that ought to win the game. Queen takes. Although rook to g7, threatening checkmate. Oh, well. Bishop g4 check, but nothing else.
Bishop f5 check might be really strong there too, preventing the king from going. And then bishop g4 check? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Queen t6 is a nasty little move.
It is. It's very well placed on d6. So if he gave it Askin, cool.
All right,
There's an urge to check.
He did it. He did it. Those were the I at the lecture before the tournament I showed Abdu Sadarov's wins against Aronian and Caruana in the Rapid Championship.
Well, those first games I've seen of his. I think we'll be seeing many more.
I mean, he just went through the world's elite like a hot knife through butter. It was insane. He beat not only Carlsen, but his last two challengers, and Aronian for good measure.
Yes, yes. Well, he had a great event, but it's
You're right.
just a one-off thing.
I stood in front of the mirror and practiced saying Abdu Sadarov about 500 times. It paid off.
Yeah, it's a tough name.
How frustrating for Black that he can't play f3 here. Okay, plays rook g7. And now, boy, bishop f5 forces the king up even further. But is it good?
Bishop f5, yes, like king
Somewhere. g5 or h5.
g5. And then bishop g4. And that poor white king, or black king, is really stuck out there.
This is something
that odd
comic.
image.
Well, Black is threatening mate in one. I mean, this is a funny kings at each other's throat kind of position.
Yeah. So it's only a safe place for that black king.
All right, let's take a look. One more quick look at Jaden Zhu versus Okay, so White's finally going for something tangible with h4, trying to play h5, I guess. But let's go up to Winslow's game.
Yeah, that game, Jaden Zhu against Luzniski is it's so slow in developing.
It's amazing. Well, White only has 2 minutes left.
Everything else is in an end game.
Yeah, White has 2 minutes left. So, okay, let's look at Elliott's game. Oh, Elliott's going for the h-pawn now. Somehow I think Black should engineer a win out of this. He didn't play for b5 though. That's funny. He played king g5 instead. He got distracted from my idea. Or I don't know what's on Elliot's mind. I'll ask him later. Here's Michael Walter. Oh, black, like you said, Nick, black has at least a draw here.
Yeah.
Why not
Just-
take on f2 and then return the bishop?
Yes.
He's
And then
worried
they're
about
getting-
white sacking the exchange, but that's going to just win for black probably.
Yeah.
What a turnaround. Amazing. Askin Mercado. Okay, so black played rook g7, white played bishop g4 check, and the rook went to g6. Couldn't white just have traded everything off on g6 and won the game?
No, the bishop went to g4 immediately, not to f5 first.
Oh, right, I see. But now, and white can't play bishop f5. Why? Because of queen g2 mate.
Yeah, pins the rook, but it's not pinned enough.
Yeah.
Still supports the queen. However, leave that bishop on g4 and it should just be good.
Pawn
I mean,
to,
maybe pawn to d6.
pawn to d6. I was thinking the same thing.
Or Adam.
Yeah. All right, this
But
game,
he's 100 points.
black is thinking. Let's go back to Winslow. Okay, well, undoubtedly this is a win for black, but
Well,
white's, yeah, I know. I'm not clear as to what happened, why Winslow did this. This is
yeah,
gonna
not ending, but it's not easy to win.
no, it's not. And actually, the white king is standing on a pretty good square. Walder is still thinking. And David Askin is still thinking. And Lucas Leszczynski's opponent, Lucas Leszczynski rather, is still thinking. So there's a bit of a lull here, Nick. Back to the Winslow game. Yeah, I mean, white is an experienced player, but this is going to be, you know, I mean, if it comes down to the Philidor position, he should be able to hold it. So I'm thinking best terms, white not giving up anything here, anything more. Maybe king e5 and king f4, or king e5 or king e6. I can't predict any of Elliot's moves. And why does the rook go and block his own pawn? In anticipation of rook h3? What do you think, Nick? Yeah, b5 would have won. I'm not sure what Elliot's doing, but he's still probably winning, or at least close to it here. The king is coming to f4. That's very strong, obviously. White's making, doing what he's supposed to do. Pushing the,
Yeah.
pushing the H pawn. Nick, I'm going to leave you with this rook and pawn ending for a minute, okay?
Okay, that's a
On
very
board one.
complicated ending. Because one rook can, any way you do it, one pawn up is drawing chances. That white passed pawn way over on the H file, that's quite a distraction. The black king would have to march over there. And the black rook coming over to the H file means lose the A7 pawn, and it's getting dangerously close to, a dead drawn ending. You may be able to get 2 pawns versus 1 pawn. I think most all of them should be a draw with best play, but you may as well have the draw on the side where you're a pawn up, because once in a while you win those. So if Duder can make some good moves, he'll be able to hold the draw. Yes. Well, but how much time does he left? 2 minutes, 50 seconds. So he's having to defend a rook ending with little time is much harder. Yes, somehow. Hard to worry. You have to worry about that. Wait. King to F6. Rook C7. King to F6 may be the best way to corral that little monster. Strange that Winslow's always getting an endgame. I think he likes the endgames. He feels there he can outplay his opponents. But now in the opening, everybody can study them very well. Middle game, well, a lot of people put their pieces on the right squares, but the end game can be very tricky. The F6, maybe H8. You just want to make sure to get some pawn for that H pawn, and can't sit there too long. Oh well. Winslow has lots and lots of time on his clock. Rook to H3 would be a mistake.
Hi, Nick.
King to G2, rook to H4. Hi.
All right, let's move on to another game. Give you a break from that one. Here's the the Walter game. Oh, black is going to be happy to pick up that pawn at g5 too. Huh.
Yes.
Michael Walden.
Yeah, after sort of screwing up a bit, he certainly came out of it smelling like a rose. It's a super solid position. And if rook to d8, threatening checkmate on g8, you can go bishop takes c5, and then you've got an escape square on h6 for the king.
So there was
You
a
go
spill in the chess room. Yeah, that's the that's the news.
So someone spilled a drink in the chess room and like didn't notify us. So it's like the thing is, I'm pretty sure I know who it is, and to that player, I'm gonna be letting them know. Yeah, you gotta tell someone. I mean, literally spilled a drink and then just kind of like
Walked out the door.
you know, kept on going like it wasn't even there. Right? It's like. So then, literally, Paul, Judith, and I are like
Cleaning it
cleaning
up.
the floor. You know, we're doing wax on, wax off. You know, doing our Cobra Karate or Miyagi Do. You ever watch the Karate Kid movies?
No, I never did watch a Karate. And Johnny was just telling me about the Karate Kid movie. Never saw them.
Because like 30 years later, there's a show on Netflix called Cobra Kai where it's a continuation.
Right.
The exact same characters. It's like fantastic.
And what does it have to do with cleaning the floor and mechanics?
Not a whole lot. I just wanted to plug it, and just because I'm a fan.
Oh, wax on, wax off?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Sorry. Oh, God. I missed some popular culture back in the day. All right.
wax on, wax off.
So black is not going to lose this after rook f1, king f1, bishop g5.
No? Well, that's one pawn. Just one pawn. Rook, bishop, and only one pawn for the queen. So that ought to be a draw. Rook f1 is probably a good move.
I mean, the king
Going
could
to
march.
front
The king could march all the way into d5 or something. Might be tricky.
Maybe.
Might be tricky for black. Okay, we'll come back to this. Here's David Askin. Ooh. End of game.
That one really over. Can you show us how that happened?
Yeah. So it was rook g6. Queen went to f8.
Position.
Queen went to f8 check. King went to h7, and the pawn did go to d6.
Okay.
And then black played f3 in order to threaten mate and won and attack the pawn on d6. But white just took the pawn on f3. And after queen d6, played bishop f5, and that was it. That seems like a reasonable end to the game to me.
Yes, yes. I mean, it was poor Adam was doomed for a long time.
Yeah, it
with
was
his
this
king
move,
running around like that. with no
h5.
shelter.
That move h5 by black was really a disaster.
Yeah.
I mean, it took away the cover. It did no good. It took away the cover for his king. It did prevent bishop g4, but it paralyzed black in a lot of ways. I mean, he could have played queen g3 right here if he wanted to play queen g3. Instead, he played h5, and after bishop e6, then played queen g3. It didn't make any sense.
Yes,
And
yes.
he just had a losing position here. Okay.
Oh.
Moving on to Jaden Zhu versus Lucas Schnusky. Black is still thinking after h4. Okay. So back up to Elliot.
That's strange, your opponent's down to 2 minutes, and then you have a long think. Probably a good idea.
So what do you think of Elliot's
Okay.
game here? Oh, doesn't Black just play f4? Oh, White's going off the
Well,
rails here. This is it. Game over.
Yeah, it looks like
White was
F4, and it
unable
would be
to.
drawn.
He was unable to muster up a defense. F3 is simple.
Well, is it so simple that the black king may have to go take the c pawn?
What happens if Black plays F3? Threatening King G3.
F3. Yeah, the rook has to go all the way down to the back rank,
I see.
but it's ugly. It's really ugly, yes. The black king comes over towards the white c pawn. So, and how much time now? 50 seconds for puzzle 2.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Here's Walter's game still going on. After Rook F1, Black hasn't made a move. And this game I'm going to refresh this page just because, well, I don't know. Lucas still hasn't made a move. Okay, so what is, oh, he does play F3. I was thinking it wasn't maybe the right move after what you were saying. Rook A8.
well, it certainly wins. It's just,
Oh,
I guess
King
there's no
G3
quick way to
is-
win.
Now King G3 is
Walter
on.
Drew.
And Michael Walter drew the game. They agreed to a grandmaster draw. Okay. That's a puzzling game. A lot of mistakes, I think. So we've got 2 games left. And this game is just about over. With Elliot about to win the c4 pawn and
Yes, well, or go rook g2 check,
yeah, and then Rook H2. That's another way to win.
f1, rook h2.
Yeah.
He wins immediately.
Mm-hmm. And in fact, that's what he did.
Well, okay, nice technique by Mr. Winslow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, slow but sure.
They don't call him Mr. Tuesday Night for nothing.
Yes.
Actually, I might be the only person that calls him Mr. Tuesday Night, but nice game by Elliot. Again, another grind. Another grind by Elliot. Just relentless technique. And we're left with one last game. And this has gotten a little bit exciting here. Black has,
Some pawn breaks.
Black is still a pawn ahead. He took that pawn and nobody's gonna, now the threat is knight d4 obviously, maybe. Hmm. Well, White's got some tricks here. This is the final game, Nick, and it's gotten kind of exciting.
Yes, it's funny. All the other games into the end game. It's and this is just barely out of the opening.
They're on move 30.
But yes, these. Yeah.
So Nick, am I going to see you at the club?
Green,
Am I going to
four.
see you at the club on Thursday?
Yes.
Okay. White's actually threatening bishop to b7, isn't it? That's funny. I didn't see that at
Yes.
first.
Yes.
Bishop to b7 is a nasty little threat. Actually, maybe black could bail out with taking on d1 and playing queen a4, but
Yes. Maybe though. Rook to 7.
anyway, it's black's move. Black's a pawn ahead, but black's been a pawn ahead for many, many, many moves now.
Yes, and White's finally got some activity for it.
And white is under a minute. We're on the last game
Yes,
of
that's
the
the
round,
thing.
of the
This
first
is a tricky
round.
position to play.
Ooh, black plays queen a4. Tactics.
Okay.
Tactics. Hey, Elliot. You played another nice grinding win. Yeah, Elliot's here saying hello. You're about to leave, right? Michael's game is
Oh, I
over.
don't know where he is though.
Oh.
I don't even know if he drove in or took the card.
Well, he must be around.
Yeah, I'll find him.
You probably, yeah. Don't miss your ride.
Is the BART train going late now?
Yes,
Yes,
more or less.
more or less. What happens if you miss your last bar train?
There are buses.
There are buses.
The main thing is Mike wants to eat. I don't.
It's been a long day, huh? Yeah. You've become Mr. We call you Mr. Tuesday Night. Did you know that?
No.
You've become Mr. Tuesday Night.
What about the rest of the week?
Those who have gone to the highest bidder the rest of the week.
Back in the
Uh-huh.
All right, see you. Well, we got white with under a minute and black with over 15 minutes. Not an easy position to play for either side.
No, all these sort of ends and
And I think white got
lining up a lot of heavy.
White did rather well out of this. I thought he had nothing earlier, but now he seems to have kind of sprung into life here.
Yes. On break in the center,
Mm-hmm.
like a D5 exchange.
And now that bishop's sitting really strongly on d5.
Yeah, this is I'm threatening bishop takes e6 and queen takes g.
Mm-hmm.
Now, queen on A4, you know, that's kind of out of play.
Yeah, it was a superficial move. Maybe pawn to C3.
Just afraid.
Well, if queen A4, C takes D2.
Yeah, maybe.
I need one good idea. The whole evening has gone by and I haven't had one good idea.
The C3, if the rook takes on C3.
Well, then you trade queens and call it and then trade rooks, and white's, I guess, better, maybe with the two bishops. Maybe knight d4.
You do rook on C7 to D7.
And if black doubles?
Black doubles. Then knight to D4.
Ah. I mean, if white doubles. Yeah, I see, rook d7. Rook d1, knight d4.
Jaden Zhu.
So rook
Down to 35
cd7,
seconds.
rook cd1, knight c7, but yes, bishop f7 check is not, would be the answer to that.
Yeah, so you.
So black has to be careful. There's knight d4. We're trying to sort of it's funny, it's not easy anymore for black. The extra pawn is not working for him here. Queen is misplaced on a4. Like Nick, like you said, Nick.
Yeah, it's just, you know, had that threat on D1, but it was too one-dimensional. A queen in the center of the board has various options.
So I like bailing out with c3. How bad is that position for black? Rook c3, queen e4, bishop e4, rook d2, bishop d2, and then c4 or something like that.
Yeah, it's
I mean, white's got,
you should
know,
be able to draw that in game, yes.
white's got a 4-3 on the king side, maybe some chances there. But black has a nice little pawn chain going for him on the queen side.
Yeah, C3 definitely bails out. It's I think Lucas won't do that with a little time on Jaden's clock. What did we say was happening on rook CD7,
Rook
D1,
CD1.
knight D4?
Yeah. Can you take it? Bishop D4?
And we go rook takes D5.
And I guess I go back. No, black's
You have to
done well.
move.
Black's done well there.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But rook CD7, rook
Black played
D1.
Black played the queen back to A6, Nick. It's all academic.
Okay, so bishop takes E6 would win your pawn back, because on rook takes 2, bishop F7 check. And that's actually good for white.
But it's black's move here.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, he just doubled. Maybe you need to double too.
Yeah, I don't see anything for white there right away. White's just blitzing it out. F4. He has to do it. He has to blitz. Knight D4.
Knight D4. Maybe you can go bishop to D6.
After knight D4 what?
Bishop to E6. Is in on knight takes
Oh, bishop to
C6, rook
C6.
takes D7.
Bishop to C6. Mm-hmm. Boy, that's a nervy move.
Yeah.
I guess rook C7.
Yeah. Very good. And maybe the bishop has to retreat back to D5.
And then we get a grandmaster draw. Grandmaster flash.
Ha ha ha. Okay, this game is going to end in time pressure for sure. So little time left, so much play in the position.
Yeah. This is what we pay our money to go see.
Price of admission. You try knight d4, I think.
Yeah, knight D4 is a nice move. In any respect.
You could also go queen b6.
And now white is under. This by the way, this is no increment. It's all delay, which means that your time is running out, never to be recovered. White has to find bishop c6, which looks like maybe it's the only move here. I'm not sure that that's good.
Oh, the wrong move there.
What, bishop takes d4 I think is bad.
Yes.
Although, what, after c takes d4, he's going to try bishop c6 then? But then the rook can go to c7, just attacking the bishop.
Oh, c takes d4. That's probably better than rook takes d5, which is pretty good in itself. E takes d4 because of the pin on that diagonal. And then...
Yeah, it seems to be decisive. I mean, If bishop
can't
c,
take
if bishop
the,
c6, you can just play rook c7. Followed
the
by
bishop's trap.
yeah.
Well,
followed
it
by-
goes back to D.
But then
d5.
d3. But then pawn d3. He did
Like a
it.
monster pawn. That would be pretty good.
That's what happened. Black could probably play d3 here, but that might allow e6 or something. Just rook c7 looks good. Well, it's hard to play when you only have seconds left. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm thinking, what else is he possibly thinking about besides rook c7?
Well, he played it. He played it, Nick. Yeah, I mean, white has to... I mean, it's true that black's pawns aren't really going anywhere after d3, but... bishop c5 is active.
Yes, and then pawn to
Maybe...
pawn to e6.
Yeah, maybe pawn to c3 instead. Get the pawns rolling right away. Maybe this isn't so clear. Pawn e6, pawn f5. I think white's going to lose something here. I think pawn f5.
Pawn e6 gets some play.
I think pawn f5. Oh, well, you can go back with the queen on the diagonal. You can go to f3 or something. I think white's close to losing this. But maybe not. Maybe not completely lost.
Right, even the
f5.
end game should be winning.
f5, queen f3. So what's the move for black here? What's the move, Nick? Can you trap the bishop somehow? Like queen c5, take on f7, play king f8? No, I guess not. f5, queen f3. Oh, that traps the bishop. Now queen d4 or queen c5. That is a centralizing move. But it allows him, yeah, he could have played queen c5.
Queen c5 would have taken that bishop off board.
I guess
Now the bishop can
yeah.
get to d7.
Just one careless move. Queen g4, queen c5 was much better.
Yes.
Could the bishop have gone to b7?
I suppose
No,
that's true, but at least it can't get to the d7.
I think it would have gotten, yeah, it would have gotten trapped, or black would have won the e6 pawn. Well, giving up the exchange won't be bad for black. Black should be winning this somehow. Maybe giving up the exchange.
Yes,
is the way
even
to
like
do
rook
it.
d6.
Yeah, and then just take the exchange. And then exchange
But
queens. Or exchange queens.
if he doesn't exchange, give up the exchange of queens, there could be some trick
Why didn't white play bishop takes b5? I think there have been some mutual mistakes here. White could have taken on b5. Maybe.
H5, a nice move.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should have probably sacrificed right away.
Whoa, queen
Five.
a8 check. Queen a8 check was that a move? F king h7, queen e8. He's forcing it.
I'm afraid it's very tricky.
Oh my gosh. Queen e8.
This queen to a8. That would have been a fine move.
No,
Oops.
he's done it. Oh, this game is just impossible. Down to the delay here. This is an incredibly dramatic finish. Is white going to be able to get a draw by perpetual check or checkmate black? Both players are running out of time. Oh my
You
god.
need to go rook takes e6, bishop takes e6, queen e4 check.
I don't know what's happened. The clocks have stopped. This game is either still in progress or over. I'm looking. What happened?
Flag.
Black flagged?
Yeah.
Black flag.
And Jaden offered him a draw at that very moment.
Oh
and
my
he
gosh.
started calculating and lost track of the time.
Whoa, you could see his reaction in the camera. Said ivermectin. Endgame, wow.
He offered it, like he could have, with 1 second delay, he could have just accepted the draw.
Right.
And just got lost in the calculation.
Chess requires too much thought from me. Folks, thanks for joining us this evening. We had a kind of a lively crowd. Yeah, it was good. It was good. And I'm glad all the DGT technology was working like
It was on point.
We were on point, man. This is Abel Talamentes, the director of the Chess Club, and I'm Paul Whitehead, Nick DeFermian. We're going to call it a night.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Paul. And thanks everyone for watching. That's nice.
And I'm going to see if I can get to the, what do you call it? This thing?
The wheel.
The wheel. Good night, everybody.
All right. Thanks.
See you next week.
Mhm.